the Foxborough Rush. Sad, hood, hood, hood. Travis Thomas here, Kasey Hudson. It's a pretty good snap count. You got to give me that. That was pretty good.
It was okay. I was expecting just like a little bit more punch. You know, there was a slight hesitation to where like we would have been off to a rough start. I wouldn't be your friend and your colleague if I wasn't honest with you about
It's true.
that. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, though. It's the first time ever in my life someone has said, I expected a little more punch from you, Trav. Like, it's usually, can you just turn it down just a skosh?
Nah.
Travis Thomas, Kasey Hudson, breaking it down. Last day of minicamp. Can you believe it? We've made it. The next time we see the Patriots on the field, it'll be for training camp. Now, look, there's 4 major food groups here I want to get to. 4 takeaways I have from minicamp. Stefon Diggs, Drake Maye, Cole Strange, we need to talk about, and Efton Chism as the hype train choo-choo continues.
I'm here for that.
So let's go in order. We'll start with Stefon Diggs.
You would.
Now, well, what do you want? I mean, I wouldn't have, but then the love boat happened, and of course we have to start there, Case.
Okay.
In fact, Stefon Diggs, ad nauseum, was asked about said love boat and what transpired there, and as you can imagine, he didn't really want to talk about it. Take a listen.
Obviously, I want to be as candid with you guys as possible. I kind of like have a thing where talk about my personal life with people I don't know personally. I'm pretty sure everybody here, men and women, are great people, but they were saying I kind of keep my personal life personal. I had a conversation with Graves, obviously. I'm going to echo everything that he said. He told me, you know, hoping everybody making good decisions. He was saying, and I had a conversation with people in the building as well. So,
now, Case, I can understand not wanting to go there and just focus, hey, I'm here, let's focus on what's on the field. Here's where I draw the line. You cannot look me in my eyes and tell me you want to keep your personal life personal when we saw what transpired on that love boat, A. B, and you saw the cameras in your face, like, come on. B, your girlfriend is Cardi B, bro. Like, what? Do you think she's keeping anything private? In her career, the more that's not private, the better. It helps her brand. What do you mean?
Okay, so
she put all her business in the street all the time.
Yes, I mean,
on purpose.
we've known too much about Cardi B. I'll say this in support of you being like, to say you don't want to be putting your personal business out there and yet you're under a spotlight. This almost just goes back to another conversation that we have had here at Nesson a number of times. But by personal, I think he means to like speak to personal situations. So maybe the verbiage wasn't all there. But in other words, what he basically just said is like, look, the situation happened. Vrabes already told me how to manage it. I'm echoing. Like so for him to say, I'm going to echo what Coach said, like we're not going to get any other answers outside of like what's already been said. And, you know, there's no going back, tracking to that situation. And then, look, he was having a grand old time, right? His frame of mind, even though it's like, oh, I see the cameras, they're there. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had a more exactly? Like, you wake up the next day and you're like, why do you have that video of me on your phone? So I'm not defending the situation. I'm just saying, like, at this point, the pulse has already kind of dwindled down on it, and like there's nothing else we're going to get out of him in terms of like what that scenario was.
I would say the pulse has dwindled down now because the Patriots are forcing that, but the pulse was strong here as he continued to get pepper pretty much with the same exact question in a different way, and he dodged all of them. Take a look.
Who's in the back? Obviously, it's a conversation, you know, that's happening internal. You know what I'm saying? I can't have too much of a conversation about it, but I've been in this league 10 years. You can format the question many different ways. You know, I'm obviously answered the same way. So,
first step, I just had one. Did you know it was being recorded?
Once again, you can format the question many different ways. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this for 10 years. The conversation that I had with Braves and the people in the building, obviously, is going to be handled internal. You know what I'm saying? In-house thing. So.
You regret it happened?
So you asking? Yeah.
Yeah. This, you know what it kind of feels like a little to me is. I don't necessarily think he's sorry for what happened on the boat and sorry for being in the public eye for all this stuff. I just think he's sorry he got caught. He's sorry that there's a videos. He's sorry that all of this is happening because of it.
Right.
But again, I can't buy the, you know, I don't want to talk about my personal life stuff because Cardi B has literally built an entire brand on being so open when her and Offset were getting into drama, which was pretty much,
all the time.
every day.
And we knew too much about her personal life.
Like she would air all their business out. This is who she is. So you can't date a person like that and not expect everything to be out there on the table.
It's like Travis Kelce being like,
it's feeling good, I think.
That's right.
And realizing that he's dating Taylor Swift. So, no, I don't disagree. I mean, again, you can't really separate the two. I think it was just more of a verbiage thing. Like, he doesn't want to talk about the situation any further. There's really nothing else to say.
No, there's not.
And the reality of it is that remove the cameras and us having the ability to have a scope into the situation. How many players realistically are doing what he's doing?
All of them.
Exactly. So he's not going to apologize. So us rephrasing the question 500 different ways is almost like you're trying to put him in a corner to get an apology. He's not sorry.
He's not going to do that.
He's living his life.
And
if he goes out and produces on the field, everybody's going to be okay with him living his life. If he comes back and he's slow and he's doing weird things and he's not living up to par, then we're going to go back and cycle back to the situation of like, well, hey, if you weren't getting it on the boat, then like whatever.
Let's define weird things, because I agree with you. I almost, in a weird way, think Stefon Diggs used his get-out-of-jail-free card in a sense of what happened on that boat, right? There's no, charges being filed. There's no, like, criminal anything. What was in the bag? Sketchy. But no, like, the league can't suspend him or fine him or do anything.
Nothing can be held against him.
Judiciously, right? Patriots, I'm sure Mike Vrabel cussed him out, but outside of that, what can you really do? So I bring all that up to say, I wonder now if there's any infractions at all. Case, maybe even minor. This guy's late to a couple meetings or just like little things. I wonder if it forces the Patriots' hand a little bit now to really come down with the iron fist if there's something else that happens. To your point, because you're right, if he goes out there and he balls out, he's productive. He is a leader. I'm using air quotes with that. But he, there's no other issues. Then this is bygones. Maybe we laugh about it if we remember it in a year from now.
Exactly.
But if I'm telling you, I think if there's something even minor, I could see the Patriots having to almost make an example now of him because, okay, this is yet another thing where you had a lapse of judgment. You put us as a franchise in a tough spot. No, by the way, that could be either in season or closer to it.
Right. So agree 100% on that because if they do not make a statement if there's another infraction for Stefon Diggs, then they're going against what Vrabel has said from the podium. It's all about respect. You show me that you respect this organization, this team, and your teammates by doing what? Showing up on time.
Right. Yeah.
So he went into a long spiel. Remember? We had that cut going across the board here. And so you can't have that saying that, like, we are a non-nonsense organization. I respect you by showing up, being present, not making an embarrassment of this organization. You respect me by reciprocating that. So this was infraction 1. And I don't think Vrabel cussed him out. I'm sure Vrabel was like, you're young, you're having fun, but, like, keep it out of the limelight kind of thing. So I think that this was slap on the wrist. I think next thing is he's got to support what he said so loudly and long-windedly from the podium.
Okay, let's talk Drake Maye. Before we hear from the quarterback, I got to give you my hot take. So I think if Drake Maye can, we know he's capable, but will he? If he can get close to top 15 in this league this year at that position, this team's making the playoffs. I don't think he needs to be top 10. I don't think we have to go crazy here, But I do believe if he can creep towards that top 15 in the league, which is very doable, given his skill set. We have to see a leap from rookie year to year 2, but we're all anticipating that. Josh McDaniels certainly doesn't hurt that. A Stefon Diggs, assuming health, certainly doesn't hurt that. If he can make that leap, I think this Patriots team could win 9-10 games and maybe make a wild card. So do you agree with that?
I agree, but I'm not particularly putting it all in the Drake Maye Cup.
Development.
Yeah, because here's the thing. That sophomore year step is already difficult as is. Now we're talking about a very intricate offense that has to be added to the mix. We're still putting some question marks around the wide receiving room. And we're going to get into some guys that have been surprising and bringing a lot more hope to the situation and scenario. But if things get wonky, if consistency is going to be jeopardized, what is one of the first things coaches do? Establish and focus on the run game. That kind of takes away from the emphasis of what our quarterback is going to be expected to do. So I think there's going to be a weird dance there in a sense of, like, will Drake Maye be a top 15 quarterback, or will they have to play into his strengths and then also kind of pivot and make sure that they can get this offense down the field?
Sure.
The biggest execution points were red zone management and making sure that this run game can be reliable, and that was something that just completely fell apart for them after, week 4?
Yeah.
So, yes, I think Drake Maye has the capability, but I'm not putting it all on the cup of, like, if Drake Maye is not a top 15 guy, this team can't make it to the playoffs. I think they can.
Sure.
There's some hope behind the defense, but more importantly, it's how the team is going to be able to adjust if Drake Maye is struggling through an intricate offense.
There's actually examples of this, practical examples that we can see right now, right in the AFC. Now, these are two guys who are top 10 quarterbacks, but we saw efficiency get better with a run game, to your point. Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yes.
Once they got a run game, because he was the run game.
He stopped being too risky at certain moments that didn't call
Exactly.
for it.
The turnovers all of a sudden dissipated a bit.
Yes.
And he was the run game, by the way. He was a pass game, run game, alpha, omega. He made concessions. He did everything.
I didn't hate it.
So once he got a run game, he became more efficient.
Yep.
He got an MVP, right? Another one is the Chargers. Once Harbaugh showed up, who loves Justin Herbert.
And Herbert loves to throw the ball. We were shocked when we were like, oh, he's not throwing every single opportunity that he gets.
More efficient.
Balance attack.
And both of those guys are fantastic quarterbacks to begin with, but now you've made them more efficient. I think that's the word here. If the Patriots can run the ball effectively, to your point, Drake Maye could still end up in that top 15, but in a different way, where we're probably expecting him to put the franchise on his back. But if they can run the ball, it may not be that.
We're redistributing the weight that needs to go on his shoulders in order for this to be a playoff caliber team. And to add to that, because I love that you brought up Allen and company, CJ Stroud.
That's another one.
You come out rookie year, you pop off.
He was
the
slinging.
Expectations skyrocketed for sophomore year, because how can you not? But again, that leap, there's so many different factors that layer into it, aside from the fact that you did well or good enough rookie year, and you just might as well. It doesn't work that way. And Stroud's performance kind of took a back seat to the implications in front of him. His offensive line being trash, his wide receiving group being demised by injuries. So I say all that to say, in full agreement with you, playoff capabilities, but I'm not going to shift it all out on Maye.
Well, I'll tell you what, Drake Maye is not going to get anywhere near top 10, top 15, top anything if he doesn't progress through OTAs, through minicamp. He talked about it.
It's feeling good. I think kind of catching a stride, just trying to get as many reps out there as possible. I think you got to take the meetings and what you learn from, when you do get a chance to run the plays, just take it and take it in the next time you run it. I think it's all the same concepts in the league, but it's different wordage, different verbiage. Same guys, mostly same guys run them, but just kind of feeling out kind of how they run it and timing and just kind of getting a different concept. So I think it's been good. I think I'm starting to kind of really kind of find a stride. I'm kind of bummed out we're about to leave.
I'm bummed out too, Drake. I can't wait till training camp. He is just so adorbs. I just love the southern drawl he has. He talks so fast.
He's got the southern charm.
Yeah, he's just like, you could tell there's that youthful exuberance, and he's just happy to be there. It's refreshing to see. I'm rooting for Drake Maye. I think he's going to be fantastic. And I know, there were reports, day one of camp was, he was pretty good. And then in day 2, he's a little iffy. Relax. I mean, come on. This is mini camp here. I know we're supposed to sit up here and talk about each throw and every breath that these players take, but it's mini camp, for God's sakes. They're not even in pads. I mean, this is the underwear Olympics at this point. Drake Maye is going to be just fine, Case.
Yeah, I mean, look, the determination is there, and while I say that sophomore step is going to be crucial in parallel to learning such an intricate system, this is such a great system for him to find himself in, to find that NFL caliber quarterback within himself.
Sure.
So I love that for him. I think that the sky is the limit, not to sound cheesy about it. But yeah, if we did have to be like, let's go to Drake Maye's mind and mentality here for a second and kind of pick things apart just a little bit. You're seeing some good things come together.
Yeah.
The biggest question mark, though, is that some of it, at least from what I've seen and heard and read in terms of what has gone down so far in minicamp, is that he's a little too heavily reliant on his receivers executing certain routes a particular way versus him having confidence in where he's positioning the ball.
Okay.
And so you want to see him take just more of a confident self-step forward in order to like really start to kind of like encompass this system and like take the next step forward.
I tell you what, one thing that can help that is his offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, who's been there, done that, has a T-shirt twice over. So he knows how to kind of develop this kid and work with him to get some of that timing stuff down.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the schedule now. I'm going to bring this up because it's in front of my face case. But tell me where the elite defense is, at least out of the chute. Raiders, Dolphins. Now, it should stop here when I say the Steelers. But right now, present day, they're having some drama with their best defensive player in T.J. Watt.
Their one-man wrecking crew.
So, I mean, let's see how that plays out. Are we talking a holdout into the season? We'll see.
Right.
But that's, I mean, if the Steelers don't have T.J. Watt, that's not the same defense. So this is your first 3 games, I'm saying. Then Carolina, then you go to Buffalo, a little more challenging. So right out of the gate, the first month, if the Steelers have T.J. Watt, I bow down, I'll give them respect.
Right.
So maybe one really elite defense right out of the chute. That's a good chance for Drake Maye to really set the tone for the season.
Yes.
And you speak of confidence. There's no better way to get confidence early in the season from a team who stunk last year, by the way, your rookie year.
Yep.
So now you should, in theory, feel more confident in year 2. You're coming in. If you can win these games out of the chute, and you're going against porous defenses, your confidence should be sky high by the time you start playing real defense.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's still early. While the guys are getting ready to go on a break here, I mean, considering the fact that most quarterbacks who are expected to be the leaders of their team, regardless of what year they're in, they really don't take that off time. He might go on a 1-week vacation, but he's still going to be very much in that playbook. He still has to keep the, his arm warm.
Sure.
And if he's got great teammates around him, which it sounds like that's the case, it sounds like this team's really excited for what's to come, then he's going to have guys out there working with him so that they can get that synchronicity down packed and it be a second thought. So just everything obviously factors into what the next step is for Drake Maye, but him being determined, us seeing good things out of him last season, considering the position that he was in, didn't get the starting job out the jump and then came in and helped out, then I think that he's going to find that confidence by the start of the season.
Well, I believe he's getting married here shortly. So hopefully, if his fiance is watching Foxborough Rush, let that man cook. Let him learn. Let him be in that playbook. Y'all can have your moments together. We're not taking away from that. But let that man do some work, too.
He gets married, honeymoon, back to the playbook.
Yeah, that's it. And even on the honeymoon, if he opens up the playbook, let that slide. Now, we're talking about expectations for Drake Maye, but what is Drake Maye's expectations for himself and this team?
I think it's an opportunity for me, take a jump. I think kind of from last year being a rookie, trying to come in here and kind of earn my stripe, earn my keep, just kind of, through hard work. And I think kind of this year is, same approach. You got new guys in here, new staff, kind of got to keep getting to know everybody, kind of, show my work ethic. And then kind of from there, as the season comes around, try to take a next step of leadership and leading the offense and hopefully leading this football team.
Expectations are already growing. How do you react to those and feel about high expectations?
Yeah, I think you want high expectations. I think that's what you want. I think this city, the Patriots are used to winning, and that's what we're trying to get back to. I think you want people to expect you to play good, and I think that pressure is kind of what fuels you to be out here. What fuels you to get the rep right in practice. What fuels you to work hard in the meetings or work hard in the weight room, or kind of not what happened last year happen again. So.
Now, none of this works without better offensive line play.
Yep.
Now, I will say this, there's nowhere to go but up, because last season felt like rock bottom to me. So I do believe the offensive line will be better, but Wes Schweitzer was placed on the retired list. He was competing for the left guard job now with Cole Strange, so it looks like Cole Strange is going to be the guy there.
Yeah.
So here we go again, back down this strange road, pun intended. I hope it works out, because at this point with Cole Strange, since he's been drafted, when we all went, who, when, where, why, all eyes have been on him. No fault of his. Belichick took him there, but this guy has to work out now. It is, you know what, or get off the pot time for Cole Strange case.
Yeah, 100%. And unfortunately, again, I repeat, we are aware that it is still quite early, but again, some other notes that came out of minicamp was just still these false starts and still these just like, right. And that's the biggest question mark that comes into play when you're looking at an offensive line that needs to polish up heading into this next coming season. Now this guy is fully kind of stepped into that starting role without any contest.
Yeah.
That's the concern there. So you already have some false start issues taking place in minicamp when you're not a rookie or a sophomore in this league, and the expectation has just jumped as to it's do or die.
Yeah, it is. And listen, I think this offensive line, although I make the joke that it was so bad last season, and I think, knock on wood, it's going to be improved. The fact of the matter is it's likely going to be a project that takes a couple years.
Yeah.
So if anything, this season, can Cole Strange prove I can stay healthy, A, because that's an issue too, and then B, can I play?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but we need to know both. So it's almost, it really is a prove it year for him, because if not, bro, we got to move on. And we got to keep revamping and figuring this thing out when you have a talent like a Drake Maye and others. So we'll see. Keep your eye on that. Here's the other one. You'll be proud of me for my growth.
Ooh.
Efton Chism. Now, all I've been doing is poo-pooing and being really a storm cloud. Yeah, Debbie Downer on the Efton Chism hype train, right?
Rude.
I've seen the light now. I'm backing off of that. You know why? The reason I was hating is because I'm like, okay, I see these little drills where he's going through the cones and look at the footwork, look at the hands, oh, his routes. I'm like, no one's playing defense on him.
You're waiting for him to get bogged down by the pads?
Yes. No one's hitting him. Hello. Go across the middle and do that. So I've been a hater. And I'm like, just make the roster first before I start giving you props. I had an epiphany.
Oh. We're proud already.
Well, this wide receiver room is terrible. So
oh my gosh,
why
that's not where I thought you were going with that.
Why not, Efton? Come on in, man. I'm rooting for you now. He talked about his own expectations and the opportunity to even make the Patriots team.
You know, I just think coming with the mindset of nothing's guaranteed. Nobody owes me anything, trying to take advantage of every opportunity I get. If that's a scout team rep or if that's a special teams rep with whatever it is, and then building the QB's trust to where they want to throw me the ball.
I mean, I believe. I'm with you, Efton. Where are you at with Efton Chism and the hype train?
Well, first of all, I'm on board. I'm on the train.
Oh, you're on?
Look, I understand put on the pads, make sure that you're still equally as consistent once the pads come on. But you're talking about, again, I talk about the rhythmic nature of getting situated here. Drake Maye went 5 for 7 in the middle of the field on day 2. Your quarterback has to be able to find you in the middle of the field, even with players that he's familiar with. So I'm not going to sit there and dump on Chism when it comes to making plays in the middle of the field without pads on. But I will say this. I'm not trying to be biased, y'all, but Efton Chism is giving me some Scotty Miller vibes.
Really?
And in Tampa Bay, he was the guy that was able to kind of get you over that hump when need be. He had an intricacy to him and a guy that was able to be consistent at those particular downs.
I remember.
That's why you don't want to completely discount the underdog or the guy coming into the room, a room that you think is trash. I understand.
It's awful.
But there's still potential. I don't think it's that far gone to where there's not enough potential here. And who's to say that once we get to the topic of holdouts and a few other things that they can't come in there and level this room up. But you need sometimes that underdog caliber in a wide receiving room that doesn't fully have an identity yet. So I'm not going to stink away from the hype.
Okay, Efton Chism, I am on your hype train, but I'm in the back of the train. Okay, I just got on.
You're standing by the door that's
I'm by
open
the door.
That you could just hop off.
Case is like, Trev, come on, party. I'm like, I just got a drink. Let me just look around before I come over there and party with y'all.
I'm in the front with the hat on, like, pressing the button, like. No, it's the energy that you want. Like, at the end of the day, this is a clean slate gets. They're not straying away from calling it a rebuild. And in Boston, we got a lot of rebuilds, retools. Everybody wants to call it a retool versus a rebuild. The Patriots are owning that this is a rebuild. So I'm okay with this situation.
All right, coming up here on Foxborough Rush. Now, Mike Vrabel and the vets back in the dynasty used to torment Tom Brady during practice. But are Carlton Davis and Gonzo tormenting Drake Maye now?
One hopes.
Are they the best tandem in the NFL? We'll talk about it at corner next here on Foxborough Rush. Roll with us.
Anytime we're going against a great defense, they got good players, 2 great corners. I tell Gonzo every day, I'm gonna test them. I'm not gonna not throw at them or CD. You know, 2 of the I think the best corners and one of the best duos in the league. What an opportunity for us to go out there every day and throw against those guys.
Test him, he did. And this is how it went. That boy Gonzo is nice. Look at this one hand. Give me that. I mean, this is silky smooth. Now, I ain't even mad at Drake Maye. You should test him. You should have that dog in you to want to test him. But Gonzo is just, that's who stood out to me here, Casey. Look at this one hand. Give me them cookies.
Oh, the cookie monster. I love that.
Come on.
Okay, but, like, is it Maye testing Gonzo, or is it Gonzo testing Maye?
No, I think it's Maye test. Listen.
This ain't the first time
It's
Gonzalez
not.
has gotten his hand and disrupted the piece for Drake Maye.
But also, when you're a shutdown corner, let's just call him what he is, because that's what he is.
Shut it down.
When you're a shutdown corner, if you throw at me at all, you're testing me. Like the ultimate compliment. Now, I get it's practice. You know, you should. That's what I'm saying. Like Drake should.
Yeah.
But even in practice, you throwing at me, you're taking one hell of a chance, because that can happen, and it just happened. But the question is this, though, because Pro Football Focus put this out. I want to show you this. So they did all the top-ranked corners in the league, okay?
Yeah.
Not tandems per se, just individual. So, of course, we know the top 5. Sauce Gardner, got it. Pat Surtain, got it.
Right.
Trent McDuffie with the Chiefs.
Yep.
Jalen Johnson with the Bears. Derek Stingley Jr. with the Texans. All absolute studs. We get it, right? Now, they had Gonzo at 13 and Carlton Davis at 18. So we can start there about, is this a little disrespectful to Christian Gonzalez to have him at 13 when he's clearly one of the best in the game? We can start there if you want. Carlton Davis, we'll see. Now you're a Patriot. You got paid. I am a fan of yours, but let's see you do it here before I start starting fights for you. I will fight for Gonzo at 13, though. But as it pertains to tandems in this league, I think you can make a case the Patriots have the best in the game with those two guys now.
I'm making the case, and I'll start a fight for Carlton Davis.
Oh!
Because 18 has to be in representation of the fact that Carlton Davis's health has not been up to par.
True.
That is the biggest bottom line there, because speaking as somebody who covered him closely with Tampa Bay, the raving reviews that came from every coaching member in Tampa was the versatility on Carlton Davis. When they needed to change things up, how the defense was approaching the shutdown, it was Carlton Davis who was one of the top leaders in making sure that that happened. Carlton Davis, healthy, is dangerous. The versatility is one thing. The explosiveness is another thing. The fact that he can shut things down in a number of ways. He can help with the run stop opportunities, or he can be so disruptive when it comes to making sure that wide receivers don't have a path down the field. So healthy, yes, I will make a case for Carlton Davis all day long. Gonzalez, what I love about this and the tandem that you mentioned is that you're talking about a guy that reflects some of the strengths that Carlton Davis has had throughout his career when he found success. Both of these guys are versatile, whether it's zone coverage or man coverage. So when you've got two versatile, explosive guys where speedy is an asterisk next to both of their names, that is dangerous.
It is. And I also, too, you talking about Carlton Davis and the injury issues is maybe why he's so low on this list.
That's what I think.
You could probably make that case for Christian Gonzalez as well when you think about it. I mean, his first year, he dealt with injuries. Last season, he showed you, I can stay healthy. And be a real player in this league. So maybe, in a sense, it's premature to have him higher on the list because of the sample size.
True.
Hey, we saw him deal with injuries. He's on and off the field. He's not really available.
Yeah.
And then he put it together. He was healthy. So let's see him, almost like a prove-it year. Let's see him stay healthy and do it again.
Right.
And then that will reflect with the props and the flowers he gets. And that could be in play here for Christian Gonzalez, too, if we're being fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure a number of fans across the board are tired of hearing me mention injuries, but they do play a key role into what we're going to see and how we can evaluate things.
Sure.
But to take it outside of the scope of injuries, because you mentioned something so crucial, time on the field.
Yeah.
This is why certain guys are sitting at that 1 through 5 slot, because it's impossible to get them off of the field.
Yeah.
I think something else that stands out with Gonzalez that's going to make this pair pretty impossible to go against is he is just so organized. He is so keen on learning, and his ability to learn and apply. When you've got a guy in his position that can learn something or make a mistake and apply it and correct it, bring solution to it quicker rather than later, then that's something else that makes him worthy of climbing up on this chart as we see him on the field a lot more. So I was reading up on him a bit more in terms of like his approach to learning, plays. And of course, I'm curious because everything is changing for the Patriots. And I loved this take on the fact that he was so big on studying Stefon Gilmore and being so meticulous in terms of like what he did so well and how he can emulate that, but also make it his own. He's a bit silent, but his leadership shows shows up in his effort
Sure.
and his relentlessness on the field. And even his coaches from college, they kept his notebooks because of how he broke things down and the way that he used his mind and translated it into words. So when you have somebody whose football IQ is just constantly at work in tandem with a Carlton Davis who is known to be, you know, equally as successful in the sense of everything I mentioned.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be important.
Okay, let's zoom out and have a big conversation. If these two are, we think, the best tandem, right? Here's how this defense can be special. Because you and I have covered a lot of NFL teams over the years, and we've seen bad defenses, we've seen defenses, and we've seen great ones.
Right.
The great ones always, 10 out of 10 times, have a great tandem at corner. But at times, those tandems are greater than it seems because of a pass rush. So I look at this Patriots defense now, who has improved the pass rush over the offseason. We'll see if these guys can live up to the billing, right? That's some of this too. But on paper, they have improved their pass rush. So these two corners we're talking about are actually great.
Yeah.
So now if you compare that with a pass rush, this Patriots defense, in particular, as constructed, led by Mike Vrabel, who's a defensive mind himself, and was elite at what he did as a player on the defensive side, this unit case could be special.
I love that you paint that picture in terms of like what the pass rush does and how it trickles down in effect, because realistically it changes the workload.
That's right.
So again, not to be annoying, but considering the fact that Carlton Davis was often paired off with Jamal Dean. Jamal Dean always had shoulder issues, so a lot of weight distribution went over Carlton Davis, which is why he had to work through a lot of injuries. But when the Bucs had that outstanding pass rush, when you had an Ndamukong Suh in the mix, before you brought in rookies off of the edge and Shaquille Barrett and so on and so forth, but then they were that last line of cleanup. And so you saw the wear and tear kind of happen a lot more when that pass rush was not as efficient. Now, when they were up to par, you just saw shutdown. You saw them be able to be on the field a lot more while offense was working through a lot of things. And considering new system, we don't know what the next step is going to be. You want a defense to where if it comes down to it and they have to be on the field too much, which no, we don't want to see, but if it happens, the trust factor is there, their ability to keep the Patriots in the game is there, and the number of games that I think that are going to be quite close, it's going to be the defense that's going to make the difference here, not the offense.
Well, it better be, because offense is still under construction. Not that the defense can't improve. You can always make improvements to anything on your football team. But, you know, it seems as though the defense is further along. And again, Vrabel being a defensive-minded head coach, in theory, you would think. This is what I thought with Gerard Mayo. So what the hell? But
no,
Gerard
I
Mayo,
trust Braves, especially because like one of the token words is aggression.
Exactly.
And, like, you know, I talk about tight ends all the time, but like my first real love was like linebacker. It was John Lynch.
I love linebacker.
Yeah, it was just like they have a screw loose.
They do.
You couldn't wait to see how unhinged they were going to be in their pursuit.
Here's something else I've noticed is over the years, it seems as though most teams, they'll have a corner perform really well, and that next season they'll get the respect, sort of what I was saying with Gonzo, like where teams are like, all right, we're just not throwing to him, or not very often. And they start picking on the other guy on the other side. If that other guy has a big year, he leaves and he gets paid from some other team where basically he fleeces them because they get him and they're like, he's not a number one corner. This is the first time I've seen in my career where it's the opposite. Carlton Davis is a real baller. And he looked around the league and said, wait a minute, that Christian Gonzalez kid is there and I can get a bag? Like, he got both. Carlton Davis hit the lottery, quite literally, where he got paid and he also gets paired with another great corner. Does that make sense? It's not like he's living off of, okay, I played really well because this guy on the other side, now I can go get paid somewhere. No, he's a bona fide number one himself. Now he comes here, and it should be special to watch.
No,
it should be.
I think what makes it even better is the fact that, like, he's coming in and he's not going to be, I just talked about weight distribution. There's a number of times that he's been paired up with a guy out back, and it's come down to if it's not the shutdown play from Carlton Davis, it's not happening.
That's right.
So he's kind of had to be both
strong
for both. Exactly. So I think his excitement is now he can just thrive in what he does best, and he can trust that his counterpart is going to be equally as destructive and efficient, which makes that much more exciting on top of getting paid.
Well, listen, both of them have had injury issues. So although you and I are definitively now saying this is the best tandem in the league, Christian Gonzalez, first year, 4 games, and then he, like I said, he put it together last season and stayed healthy. And we know Carlton Davis's injury history as well. So let's see a full season of you together and healthy. That will be the key.
Yeah.
Because if either one of them or both of them are in and out of this lineup case, you lose a lot of juice on the back end in that secondary. There's other good players there. I like Duggar. I like Peppers. They have some guys. It's especially a safety. But at corner, if you lose these two or one of them, you know, it's not going to be the same. So let's see if they can stay healthy together. That's going to be the key. If they stay healthy, the ability's there for both.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, the benefit here is the fact that both of them are equally as talented, one could argue.
Yes.
And I think it's just going to make it that much easier for them to focus on their job without being taxed out too early in the season.
Which one of those top 5 guys, individual, do you like the best? Sauce Gardner, Pat Surtain, Trent McDuffie, Jalen Johnson in Chicago, or Derek Stingley Jr.? I actually like Derek Stingley Jr.
See,
I liked him coming out of LSU, so I'm partial to him.
McDuffie pissed me off a lot.
Why?
Just because of like his timeliness of making certain plays happen against teams that
You
I
were
was
rooting against.
Yeah, like every time I'm rooting against the Chiefs, like then
He would
you've
pop
got
up.
and then you're just like, why is this pest still popping up? And I mean that with all due respect. That's what you want to be.
Facts.
But McDuffie pissed me off a lot in a number of situations. So I feel like I have to give him some credit. But I mean, how do you not just love Sauce Gardner? And then on top of it,
Yeah,
like
he's a man.
the mess that was the Jets this previous season, you didn't see a bunch of just like problematic behavior out of him. You didn't see a bunch of like hooting and hollering. Like when you can be destructive and humble,
Facts.
that's such a killer combination in just like life as well as like athletics. So I have a lot of respect for him, and considering just like what he's been through with that organization in a short period of time. It's just like
I think there's 2 teams in this division that are going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's the Jets and the Patriots. I think there's expectations for the Dolphins, and all they do is let you down because they're softer than baby poop. And the Bills, you know, I honestly, and we've probably said this in the past about them a bunch, but last season was like wide open for you. It was wide open, and they blew it. They still blew it. So I'm thinking the Patriots and the Jets here are going to sneak up on some people. I think Aaron Glenn is a coach there with the Jets. Justin Fields now getting another chance to start. I think they're going to be just fine. But when we come back here on Foxborough Rush, there are some players around the league right now who are a bit disgruntled that maybe the Patriots can get involved because these players I'm talking about, their teams won't give me my money. Maybe the Pats can get involved. We'll see. We'll talk about it next on Foxborough Rush. Give me my money.
There's always at this time across the league a number of guys who might be in whatever kind of contract strife or on the trade block. So to not speak about them specifically, would you guys constantly be monitoring all discussions?
I think that we have to. Again, it would go for the ability to acquire good players, good people, and I feel like that can help us at any position. So, you know, I don't know what those situations are throughout the league, but I'm all for trying to make the roster better any chance that we can.
We're all for that too, Braves. We're with you. In fact, I got some big names here I'm looking at. I mean, Steelers, T.J. Watt. Bengals defensive end Trey Hendrickson. We know they don't pay any damn body if he play on defense, apparently. Jalen Ramsey with the Dolphins. How about this one? Say it louder for the people in the back. Commanders wide receiver stud. Scary Terry McLaurin. And then I'm going to throw this one in. He's not a holdout, but Kyle Pitts, a tight end with the Falcons.
could be feeling all the feels of the
He
holdouts.
wants to get paid. They're not really giving him the bag. Now, he did report to camp. He's injured right now anyway, so he's there just hanging out. But he's not happy, so that's potentially a situation to watch there.
Yep.
That's a lot of star players I just told you that are holding out right now of these mini camps.
Yep.
Should the Patriots go get any of them, some of them, all of them?
I won't say all of them.
Why not? They got the money.
I know, but you got to be fiscally responsible,
Facts.
as my mother would say.
Facts.
Look, top of the chart, you hear the name T.J. Watt, you get an inkling of hope, a sparkle in your eye to think that somebody as destructive and punishing and consistent as a T.J. Watt, as a Watt brother, period, could be on your roster.
Yeah.
Sell everything and bring him here. It's Trey Hendrickson. Look,
Didn't you just say your mom says to me? Sell everything.
Right. Well, look, don't we lose our minds for love? So I've been told. So the right man can make you lose all your minds.
All the rules go out the window.
No, but I mean, look, I was a big J.J. Watt girl growing up and stuff like that. And T.J. Watt, like I said, the consistency, the leadership. So even outside of what he does so well on the field, I mean, he's such a vocal leader and inspiring guy.
Yeah.
So having him on your roster just gives you so many different benefits outside of what he can do on the field. Jalen Ramsey. Now, I'm going to sidestep this one.
Why?
Initially, was a pretty decent fan of his, especially because he came out of FSU along the same class area as my brother. His attitude. I don't think that he will fit the persona of what Vrabes is trying to make the new identity and culture of this team.
Kind of a diva.
He can be kind of a diva, and the tantrums. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear whose fault it was outside of your own when a situation goes down a particular way. And that's just something that is tended to become like, part of his thing. Now, can he be good? Could he be an asset? Yes. But like anything that can add extra to it, I don't think we need it. We're not that desperate.
Trying to establish a culture here.
At the same time as, like I said, Patriots are one of the few teams in Boston that are owning rebuild versus retool, retweak, all these other finesse words to just say the same freaking thing. So, wide receiver, are you kidding me? Like, would you call him Scary Terry?
Scary Terry.
Love that.
Yes.
Again, sell everything. Bring him here because, I mean, while some people might see a little bit of glimmers of hope in some of the wide receivers of this room, you're talking about a guy who will immediately level up this wide receiving group. And to have that as an opportunity and an option for a Drake Maye, I mean, it's just exciting. And you're talking about a guy that just worked with a young quarterback. So being able to find that rhythm, being able to give your quarterback that confidence, being accountable, being reliable. I just love everything that happened in Washington for him and how he can bring that success over to the Patriots.
I completely agree. He's a leader. He's someone that's a grown-up in the room. He's a complete wide receiver on the field case. Blocking, going across the middle.
Oh my gosh, some of the blocks we saw this season, I'm just
and he's not the biggest
who
guy.
Are you?
And he's a dog. Going against the middle, making catches. 3rd and 7, go to him. He's going to get it done for you. You know what I mean? He's
and third and everything we need help with.
We need everything help on the outside. So this is someone, and by the way, I don't think, while we're talking about TJ Watt and give up the farm to get him, which you would have to. I think for Terry McLaurin, I kind of think that price will be fair. I could see a 3rd, maybe a 2nd round pick, which I would cringe if I had to give up a 2nd, but I would do it. And then probably I would think the Commanders want a receiver back for body's sake. He's not going to be Terry McLaurin, but you're going to need a body back at that position. So is it a Butte? Is it a hell, I like him, but is it a Pop Douglas? Is it Kendrick Bourne? It could be any of those dudes, and I'd say yes to all of them. Every single. There's not a receiver you could name outside of Stefon Diggs, because if you paid Diggs, you should keep him. And then the love boat happens, and you still have him. So, you obviously want Stefon Diggs. And by the way, Stefon Diggs and a Terry McLaurin's not a bad 1-2 punch.
It's not.
So any receiver not with the last name Diggs could be on the table if I were the Patriots. I would.
I'd keep Pop Douglas.
I like him.
Bourne can go.
But I would trade him. I like Pop. But if Washington said, Terry, you got to pay him and give us a 3 and Pop Douglas, see ya, Pop. But I need this guy. So, but we'll see. We'll see what none of these dudes could be going anywhere. TJ Watt's going to get re-signed by the Steelers. Let's just be honest about that.
He is their identity, so that would be wild.
Yes, Jalen Ramsey's older, so who knows? But I agree with you about the fit. It just doesn't work. Scary Terry, I think the Patriots should do whatever it takes to get him, but there's going to be other teams that want him. And likely, I also think the Commanders.
But Washington's attractive right now.
It is. I would think they'll figure it out and pay him. Kyle Pitts and Trey Hendrickson are probably the only 2 that I really think there'll be a market for where the teams that have them are shopping them. I think if you're the Falcons, with Michael Penix coming into his own now, you're still trying to figure out the Kirk Cousins situation. They can't pay Kyle Pitts. The guy's always hurt. He's up and down in terms of production. Is he good? We're not sure. 1 year, he gave us a 1 year where he's good, and then he disappeared. I just don't think they're going to pay him.
Yeah.
So maybe the Patriots can get involved there. And then Trey Hendrickson. They got to move him. They don't have any money, honey. They can't pay anyone other than Burrow, Higgins, and Chase. And it's a problem.
The list of who potentially possibly can bleed them out even further, Hendrickson is not there.
They're not paying him.
No, I couldn't see them paying him. You've got people being more vocal about their payday in terms of like them being around a bit longer.
Yes.
And at this point, I think that the money that Trey Hendrickson is going to be looking for and the capability of like what the Patriots can offer.
They can offer him the money, Case. It's just a matter of what would a trade look like? You know, like what are you giving up? Because here's the thing. The Bengals are desperate. Like, you have to trade this guy.
Yeah.
You don't have money to pay him. He is ticked off because he's been your best defensive player for many moons now.
Right.
So that's kind of a desperate, like, what negotiating,
also, like,
if you're the Bengals, what leverage?
Are you?
Yeah, that's what I mean. What leverage do you have? You don't have any.
But you can't make a bleed out negotiation with the Patriots. Like, we're helping you move a piece that's going to be a pain for you.
Right.
And kind of give you some wiggle room so that you can finally get things back on track and not have players running you through the mud publicly.
Well, then I want you in the negotiating room.
And their ego is going to have to be tempered here a little bit because at the end of the day, Bengals, who are you?
I need you in the negotiating room because that's true. If I'm the Patriots, I'll give you whatever draft pick it is, but give me the player so we can get them paid and get in here.
Exactly.
They don't really have any negotiating. So
it's
if you're
more
the Patriots,
helpful for them to get the cap space and the increase
and get the headache out.
Than to sit there and try to puff their chest at a situation.
Yeah.
No.
That's true.
No.
Still to come here on Foxborough Rush. The next time we'll see the Patriots on the field will be training camp. But there's a lot of time in between now and then. So in the meantime, in between time, what are these guys going to do? We'll tell you what we think next here on Foxborough Rush. Welcome back to Foxborough Rush. Okay, Case, last day of minicamps today. Training camp opens July 22nd. Carry the one.
Mathing the math.
Damn, that's 5? That's 5 weeks.
That's a long time.
What in the world are these players going to do with all that idle time in 5 weeks? Head coach Mike Vrabel, he's got an idea or two.
Well, I don't think it's a downtime. It's time away from, the facility. I think it's important. It's probably the most 5 important weeks of the off season, as far as I'm concerned, and just my history as a player and a coach. It's critical that they come back in shape, that they're ready to go for training camp, that we're prepared as coaches with the schedule and the installation and what we're doing, and the players have to hold up their end of the bargain to prepare for that training camp.
Okay, so players report July 22nd, first practice July 23rd. I mean, just don't get arrested. Don't get arrested. That's it.
I don't know if it's that simple,
What do you mean?
That message is directed to a few celebrities that'll be celebritying over the summer. Look, we are aware that Drake May is going to be getting married during this time.
Yes.
Our producer did confirm that.
Yes.
So congratulations, baby Maye. Enjoy yourself, but I like the trepidatious way that Coach Vrabel was like, they're going to be away from the facility.
Right.
But in other words, the underlying tone of that, like as a parent gives you that warning, it was like, you're away from the facility, but
I got my eye on you.
And you still better be putting in the work. And so while I'm excited for Drake May in this new chapter of his life, the bottom line is like the work still has to be put in, and that doesn't just go for your quarterback. But I remember when Tom Brady first got to Tampa, he was working out off the facility grounds. They were actually working out at Berkeley Prep School, and it was him, Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, getting the work in so that they can find that chemistry and that cohesion so that it just naturally translated into camp.
Yeah, I think Case really just beautifully said all that. I just want to reiterate my message. Don't get arrested. You have one job. Don't get arrested. And we're all good.
Live your life.
Live your life, just like us here on Foxborough Rush. And we appreciate you for living your life with us. Until next time, Travis Thomas, Kasey Hudson. One more time. Say, hood, hood, hood. Omaha, Omaha, hey.
There it is.
See you next time on Foxborough Rush.
I'm fired up.
Peace.